First up, James is in Manly in Sydney's beautiful northern beaches.
We're here in Manly and I'm excited to share this amazing home with you. The transformation of this 1905 home has been fantastic and I've been part of it now for over 2 years. It was the original home of George Taubman and I can't wait to share it with you. Gerard, no matter how many times I walk in this home, it still strikes me as such an amazing property. Tell us why you bought Uruguay.
Well, we first came across the house probably about 14 years ago when we first arrived in Manly, and I was just walking the dog past the street, and I remember looking up thinking, how great would it be to live in a house like this in Manly? And so when about 5 or 6 years ago the opportunity came to buy the house, we just absolutely fell in love with it.
You kindly let me come on board. When I turned up, the home looked nothing like it does now.
No, it was in a bit of a mess. Yeah, there were parts falling off. It was probably wouldn't say wasn't the nicest of colours. But we were naive. We didn't know what it took to actually restore a house like this. We thought a new garage and a lick of paint, and we're very wrong. So we really appreciated having someone like yourself to come along and actually help us pick with the taps, pick the colours. It was so much to do. We just really didn't even know where to start.
No matter how many times I walk in this home, Gerald, it still blows me away. I remember the first time I walked through that amazing LED light front door, I didn't know where to look. These ceilings, the staircase, all of this intricate detailing, like this is a really grand home. You obviously fell in love with it straight away.
I think my wife and I were maybe 1 or 2 feet into the front door when we decided, send us a contract, this is the place we really want to buy. But like I say, it needed a lot of work, but when you look up, all the guests that come in, the first thing they do, look up, see the ceilings, see all the detail on the vents and the ceilings, and you know, it really needed to be restored. You can't knock a house with this much history and this much grandeur out. And those ceilings are just so high. It's really difficult to change a light bulb, but it just gives that incredibly impressive feeling when you walk in.
When I first walked in this room, the whole of the interior was the same colour, beige. We painted the skirting white and all of the architectural details white to make them stand out. It's a great tip to highlight all of the features in your home because after all, they are what adds the value and the character to the space. One of the most exciting things about this home is that it's the original home of George Taubman. Now we know that brand, it's a brand of paint that's used right around the country. In the back here is a big part of this home. It's the original shed of Mr. Taubman's where he actually mixed some paint as the story goes. It was difficult to keep that, and I know really you guys had to sort of think about whether it was going to go or stay. It was a costly thing to keep it, but it's ultimately an important feature of the home.
Yeah, Mr. Taubman's man cave itself, maybe no video games back there.
Yeah.
What he did, we always think that maybe he did mix his paints down there. It roughly was around about the time that the company started that he built this house as well. So the origins of Taubman's are very much in the back in that shed.
Now, of course, the kitchen is an important room in any home. And this part of the house was an addition that came as part of the story of this house in about the late 70s, early 80s. There was absolutely no connection between here and here because you had to come through your study, which is, I imagine, a nightmare. You work from home.
So it really wasn't very functional and connected. As you say, you walk from one side of the house, the front door, all the way to the other side through a study to get here. So it really didn't work. But now being opened up, it's really brought the main living area and the dining area into one space, and it flows beautifully. The style of the kitchen, we originally actually wanted a modern kitchen. Well, I certainly wanted a modern kitchen. I like modern style kitchens, but it didn't seem to fit with this period of house. So you told me, James, and you and Joanne agreed on this one. But we've got a combination here where we think we've got this fusion of a modern kitchen yet with some heritage features like the stonework and the tapware and these wonderful shaker doors.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I know Joanne and I were sort of on the same side straight away. We had to convince you. And I think the finishes of the beautiful marble with the Taubman's deep grey, I think it's a really nice combination and it just complements the house. So I'm glad you're happy, mate.
Well, what you've managed to achieve, when people come in here, they don't feel like they've come into a different part of the house and gone through a different era. It feels like it was an original part of the house, so hats off if I had one to you there.
Very good. Adding a new bathroom to the Taubmans home required some thought because of course this home wouldn't have originally had one inside. We added period details, encaustic floor tiles in a soft blue, a nice deep blue for the Taubmans vanity, and some textural traditional tapware. It feels like a bathroom that's been here and yet it's completely new. One of the biggest things we spoke about, there was really no connection from upstairs to outside. You could look through the windows and see that beautiful view behind us, but you couldn't enjoy it. This was a big addition to the home, transforming it from the front, and yet again, it was done in a beautiful way that speaks to the original features of the home. It feels like it's been here forever, this beautiful balcony.
Yeah, there was a cover, there was a roof to the balcony. We could look out the windows and see it. It was just a shame that we couldn't walk on it and use it. So I think that took probably most of the time in terms of 3 years of planning to get it through council. But what was eventually achieved was a heritage looking balcony that just looks in keeping, and most people who come here think it was here all along.
One of my favourite elements of the Taubmans house was these beautiful shingles. We of course reused these when we added the balcony to tie the spaces in together. It's a great tip when you're renovating. Look back at the original finishes you have on your home and reuse them. That way it blurs the lines between old and new. Now your boys have grown up a little bit in the time that I first met them. How do they feel? Do they love being here?
Well, we did reflect just before the renovation. We did think about moving back to the UK, and so I asked my 6-year-old boy at the time, I said, do you want to stay here? Do you want to move back? And he said, I'd like to stay here because I can see Wales from my bedroom window. And although we can see the country Wales from our house in Shropshire, right, it doesn't quite match the view that we get from this place.
I think, yeah, that Wales doesn't move and jump through the waves. It's an amazing location. I think it's perfectly in keeping here that you've got the name Uguay, which means place of rest, and now you've got a beautiful place of rest to sit out there and watch the world go by. And I think it was an amazing journey for you.
And we can say probably now that it was a lot of fun working with you on it. So.